going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is the Jersey Number Runners. I'm Brenden. That's Daniel, and it's baseball season. Baseball week is here. First pitch is what, Dan? Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday. So we are going to give you guys over the next couple days our top 10 lists, because that's a pretty popular thing that goes around, and especially with fantasy baseball in full swing, it's important to have these things to refer to. So yeah, Dan, let's what do you say? What are your thoughts?
Do it. Yeah, look, we're going to start off with catchers. This is a position where people kind of look at it like an afterthought, unless you're getting, the only guy who's the consensus number one, maybe at any position. And I mean that, at any position. Like people kind of look at it like, I'll figure it out, and you keep thinking that, and then you're going to realize you're getting like bottom feeders at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean that like aren't going to really help you much and give you value, when had you just prioritized it a little bit, you could have made a difference on your team. So I think, start off, it's not the sexiest position. It definitely has the fewest, big names and sexy, number movers, but it's important nonetheless. And, it's not that exciting, but it's important that you get it right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think some important things to point out about Sal, and we had this discussion a while back. Like, a lot of people are like, is this guy's power legit? He's never gone over 30 before last year. That's definitely something to highlight, but he's played very consistently, never been injured besides the one time he had Tommy John. The guy just doesn't miss games. He's a goddamn force behind the plate. I mean, he's there every single game almost, for the most part. And he does have serious, over 20 home runs for 4 seasons in a row. I mean,
That's the thing to remember.
Power,
He may not have gone over 30 before last year, but you got to remember.
Plus, look at his batting average. I mean,
you can see he hit 22 in 139 games, 27 followed by another 27, both in 129 game campaigns. So if the guy played a few more games, and he didn't at the time, I don't know who was the designated hitter at the time. We'd have to go back and look. But the Royals have now made it a policy that when Sal is not catching, he's going to be DHing. That's why he got up to 161 games. He didn't catch 161 games, but he hit for 161 games because his bat is so valuable. So this man, if you look at the year before the COVID season, he popped 11 in 37 games. If you prorate that, it's over 40 home runs. So he's got a legit 40 home run plus bat.
I think just in general, he's going to give you regular production. Like, if you start looking at some of the catchers towards the back end, 40 RBIs, 50 RBIs, what you can expect from them. Sal is, you can throw him in there. He's up there with first base production, second base production, like just a regular everyday player, which a catcher, you just can't find that,
Few and far between. He's the consensus number one. It's a no-brainer. The question for people, though, Brenden, is where to draft Sal Perez, right? How do you prioritize a guy like Sal Perez? Absolutely. For me, if he's there at the end of round 2, I'm taking this guy. Unless I feel like I have a pick, where like I get the immediate turnaround, like I have picked 11 or something. But if I'm at like pick 9, I may pull the trigger on him. I'll certainly get him round 3 if he's there at the beginning, middle, and like for me, I'm not letting him get to round 4. But I definitely think this is the kind of guy you're not going to be overdrafting for, where you'll feel any kind of regret, because he's just that much of a difference maker. There's a term we use, competitive advantage. People are not going to play the amount of games, because how many times you have, my catcher's not playing today, and I don't have a backup catcher.
Right, exactly.
And you've got at the end of the season 30 games that never got accounted for. You'll be negative 32 or something like that in the catcher category, where just no value came out of it.
Or in a
And then,
head-to-head, if he doesn't play twice, I
yeah,
mean, you shot.
yeah, I know. And the question becomes like, is it worth carrying a backup catcher? I remember asking you this question years ago, and you're like, well, there are just too many hitters out there that are more worthwhile on my bench than a backup catcher just for those 30 games. But if you get a guy like Sal, you don't need a backup catcher. There are a
Right.
few more catchers we'll go over who are like that, but there's just nobody like this guy. So, case closed, he's the man. This
Yeah.
guy for me is a number round 2 to round 3 pick. Do not let him slip.
Yep. And then the next 2 and 3, I think for the most part, I mean, this is the consensus everywhere in the
Yeah.
world. I mean, these are ours are flip flopped here. I mean, you can't. Don't get me wrong. I love JT Realmuto. I'm a big JT Realmuto guy. I've been a champion of him for a while. Even Dan he's slowly come along, but no, JT Realmuto is the guy. I just think with the improvements to the LA Dodgers lineup, Will Smith is better than what, Dan, sixth?
Yeah, about that.
How many times is that guy going to come up? There's going to be 2 people on base, 3 people on base. I think this guy has a legit chance to drive in over 85 from the catcher position, which is just
Yeah.
you can't find that besides Sal. I mean, Real Muto is the same thing. Philly's offense is going to be good, but
Yeah.
I just think you look with Will Smith's numbers. I mean, the guy hit 25 last year. I think you can book him for his 25 to 30 again, easy. I mean, he played 130 games, which isn't bad. And I tell you what, I had him on my team last year. And the thing about Will Smith is he comes in crucial pinch hitting situations. I know there were several games where he had a pinch hit home run. He had a pinch hit, double where he's driving it in. So even if he catches 130 games and if you don't have a backup catcher and he's still in there, maybe he comes in some situations. The bottom line is his production is going to be up there with anybody. I think that this guy,
Yeah. He's only getting better. Also, he's young, right? He's still kind of scratching the surface of how good he can be. I mean, what's so impressive about Will Smith? You look at his on base percentages. To be such a young guy, a catcher, and have the kind of discipline that he does, I guess seeing pitches all the time as a catcher, he knows the strike zone, right? This isn't a guy who's gonna chase much. He isn't a guy who's gonna expand the strike zone and strike out a million times. No, this is a guy who understands pitchers and pitches. He knows what a pitcher's trying to do to him. Yeah, he's a great pick, no question. I mean, it's a toss up for me. So slot 2 or 3.
I mean,
so
I think the big thing with JT Realmuto, we were just talking about it. This guy's fast, man. I mean,
yeah,
13 steals,
he's an athlete.
12 steals. Like, if you're looking for a player you can slot in for fantasy purposes, I mean, Realmuto might have more value because if you're building a team, and obviously, like sometimes it happens, and you're in the draft, and all of a sudden, like if Corey Seager's sitting there late, you can't just let a guy like that go by, or Nick Castellanos is there late, pick 90 something. He's just for whatever reason the draft board is sleeping on him. Maybe you can't go get a guy who's going to steal bases, but you're not going to deny some of that offensive potential, like those two names, just because you need stolen bases. So this is a guy where if you slap him in there, you can kind of salvage that category to a degree. And again, I mean, his production is going to be up there. I mean, he was hurt last year. I know he played 134, but he played through it. He got it.
He played through it. Yeah, those power numbers are going to be better. This guy's going to easily clear, for me, low 20s, 21, 22, 23 home runs. Similarly to Smith, he's going to drive in about 80, 85. Who knows, maybe a bit more now that the Phillies actually have like real hitters around him and Harper. No, I'm very bullish on that Philadelphia offense. That ballpark. I mean, it's built for guys to slug, and they've got a lineup full of it. So, yeah, I think Real Muto is going to reap the benefits of Dave Dombrowski's offseason. Yeah, I think we're on the same page for number 4, right?
Yep, consensus. I mean, this guy, you know what he is. I mean, the guy is going to get on base, and he's going to hit for home runs. I mean, it looks like averages. I mean, he's going to do something.
He's got swing and miss, man. It's okay. That's what he is. He's a masher, dude, and he mashes. And in that lineup in Chicago, same thing with Philly, LA. There's ducks on the pond, and there are people around him to drive him in. He's a switch hitter. That's something I love about Yasmani Grandal. He's an on base percentage guy too. Look at those on base percentages. I know most leagues. I know the Yahoo League that Brenden and I like to play are not, they don't take into account on base percentage, but it just means that he's going to be getting on base.
Yeah.
Sometimes
He
that's a
scored
base on
60 runs last year, man. I think that's the advantage of
in
on base.
in 93 games, dude. In 93 games because he had a knee injury.
Yep.
So with that Chicago offense that now has Luis Robert back and has Eloy Jimenez back, I mean, yeah,
just acquired AJ Pollock.
Yeah, just acquired AJ Pollock, who's going to hit behind Grandal most likely, protecting him. I mean, yeah, I think this guy's going to probably score 90 runs, and drive in 90 runs. Like it's again, these are like fantasy baseball lineups. That's what Real Muto, Will Smith, and Grandal playing, and that's why he's easily number 4.
Spelling, I know. Yeah, so you got Travis.
I do.
I got Wilson Contreras. So we're on a little bit of a
look.
Go ahead.
TDA, right? I'm a Braves fan. People know, as you know. Travis d'Arnaud, I've watched him the last few years. This was a guy who was a top draft pick out of Toronto, and I think out of Toronto, and then he got traded to the Mets in the R.A. Dickey deal, and he never had a chance really to show what he can do because he kept getting hurt. Alex Anthopoulos signed him as a free agent a couple of years ago, and he reaped the rewards. He went out there and won the National League Silver Slugger. He went out there.
Dude.
He went out there and he shoved. He posted and he shoved. And now that he's healthy again, he had a torn thumb ligament. Brenden and I saw this guy. He hit a home run in the World Series. Twice he hit 2 World Series home runs.
He hit a home run in spring training that cleared the entire stadium the other day.
Yeah, so. Like he's got 2 homers this spring. Like if Travis d'Arnaud is healthy, the dude's gonna hit. And he's a smart hitter, and he knows how to hit the opposite way. What I like about him is that he's not going up there feast or famine. He knows how to work the count. He knows how to go the other way. This is a guy who, for me, is going to give you a solid line of production. He may not clear 20 home runs, but he'll be around there. He may not hit 321 again, probably won't even hit 300, but if he hits 280, hey man, you're not hurting me at all. He plays in a really good lineup in Atlanta with a DH now. He's going to drive people in. He's going to score runs. He's just a solid guy to have. To me, the reason I put him at number 6, there's no concerns.
Yeah, you have him at 5.
5, I'm sorry. The reason I don't have him at, instead of Contreras at 6. Yeah. I just feel like Contreras has the higher ceiling, no question. And I love Wilson Contreras. He's amazing. But to me, d'Arnaud, I know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And then there may be some that's just gravy.
I mean, for me, I think it's just the consistency. I mean, Wilson Contreras, I mean, obviously there was a chatter a few years back that, I mean, how good could this guy be, right? Like this guy is, a star, like up and coming in the making. And I think just time has, shown that that's probably not going to be the case. I mean, who knows? I mean, Sal Perez was a late bloomer, dude. Who knows? I mean, this guy can figure it out easily. Things could click for him. He could hit 28 home runs this year. I mean, it's possible. The Reds can't pitch. I know Milwaukee can definitely pitch in that division, but I think he's going to be facing a lot of easy pitching for the most part.
The Pirates.
Yeah, Pirates can't pitch like for throughout the year. So I think just the thing that why I put him at 5 is just the consistency. I mean, I think he's probably going to hit, 230 to 250. That's okay. I mean, if he parks 20 home runs, drives in 60, 70 runs. I mean, he's going to steal a couple bags. He stole 5 last year. I think that's the thing that you can expect from him is he's just going to be a consistent player that you can plug in. And at this point, catcher's one of those positions where it falls off fast. I think that's all you can ask for him. But I'm right there. TDA is at 6 for me. We have these flip flopped. I mean, the guy's just a good baseball player as long as he can stand the field. And that's the biggest thing for him throughout his career. So yeah. I mean, so who you got at 7, Dan?
Well, last thing I'll say about Wilson Contreras. There's a rumor out there I heard, I think today, or it's been out there for a little bit, right? Like the Cubs and Contreras have not been able to come to a contract extension. The New York Yankees are in need of a catcher. I know Brian Cashman, it's been rumored, has some interest in Contreras. If the Cubs cannot sign Contreras to a long-term deal, and I just don't see how that's going to come together based on what the Cubs have done, and Contreras just wanting to, be in a situation where he win. This is a guy who's a ring. He's a winner. He wants to win. I think Contreras is going to get dealt, and I do think the New York Yankees are the landing spot. And I think it can happen before the deadline, well before. So just keep that in mind. This is a guy who's going to post. He's going to hit well. But if he goes to Yankee Stadium, that stock is going to go up.
No, 100. I mean, that's a good nugget of knowledge right there for sure. So who you got at 7, Dan?
Tyler Stevenson, not Dolphin Bar Show. I'm going Tyler Stevenson, the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. This is a guy. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. He's a Braves fan like me. He's a baseball guy, and he can hit, Brendan. He can flat out hit. He kind of came on the radar last year for some people.
Yeah.
I think he hit about like 289 or 290 ish.
6'4", 225 is a big boy right there.
He is a big boy. He's a big boy who's got power. He hasn't fully tapped into that power yet, but it's coming. Again, on base percentage guy.
I mean,
I
he's
love
24.
catchers.
He's 24.
He's 24.
Yeah.
He's just beginning to figure it out. Again, you look at the on base percentage, the guy knows the strike zone, and that means he's not going to go chase. And when pitchers are forced to throw it into the strike zone against hitters who have power, ball's going to not come back. So for me, this is a guy in the National League now with the DH. The Reds, because they've been moving so many players around, the plan is that when Tyler's not catching, he's going to be DHing.
Yeah, he plays a little bit of first base too.
Right, and give Votto the day off to go DH. So he's going to play. He played 132 games last year. That number's going to go up. Like Sal Perez, this is a guy who you're going to get the most amount of games played as possible out of the catching position. So if that's something that's important to you as a fantasy baseball owner, games played, just trying to rack up the counting stats, runs, RBIs, homers, this dude's going to do it. And oh, by the way, he's going to hit for a really good average. So Tyler Stevenson's the kind of guy, Brendan, when we do this list at the end of the year, right? Who are the top 10 players? How close were we to what we thought?
Sure.
Tyler Stevenson, in my opinion, may overtake Yasmani Grandal. That's how high I am on him.
Yeah.
So he's got to go do it.
He mashes, dude. He hit 286, man. That's a good batting average.
Yeah. So why don't you go over Dalton Varsho? Because I know you got him.
You have a mate?
I have a mate. I do.
So, yeah, this guy, I mean, he's a little bit of an asterisk, right? I mean, we talk a lot fantasy on the show. So as of right now, he's a catcher. But I know he does play a lot of outfield. The plan may be even to transition him away because the guy's an athlete. That's the bottom line. Yep. That's also why he's on this list. I mean, he stole 6 bags last year in 95 games. I mean, if this guy's a double-digit, contributor in the steals category coming from the catcher position, then the guy parked 11 bombs. If he's a sneaky 2010 threat, I mean, he's hit you 250 or something like that. I mean, you can't ask for much more coming.
Brendan, go to his minor league numbers. Let's take a look at those. Right there, just right where you were. You see it says show minors.
Yeah.
So, because I think if you look at his minor league numbers, you see that over there. In 2018, he swiped 19 bags in 83 games. 19 stolen bases in 83 games.
21 and 108. Yeah.
Yep, 21 the next year in 2019.
That's fast, man. 18 homers.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if you get 20 stolen bases out of the catching category?
Game changer.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane because if you get 100 to 120 stolen bases, you're probably winning the steals category. You're telling me that your catcher is going to give you 1/5 or 1/6 of your stolen bases? I mean, you're in the driver's seat for that category. So
absolutely,
he's another guy. End of the year, his stock, he may very well overtake some of those names on this list.
Yeah. So who you got at 9, man?
Who do I have at 9? That's a great question. I have at 9 Mitch Garver. Going a little off the reservation, sort of. Why don't you pull up his numbers? Mitch Garver is the catcher newly acquired for the Texas Rangers. I believe last year he played for the Minnesota
Hey, played Minnesota Twins whole
Twins.
career. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, Minnesota Twins, not the Timberwolves, not the Vikings.
Yeah,
I
there
haven't
you
had
go.
my coffee today. But this is a guy who's got some pop. You see, last year he hit the ball over the fence 13 times in only 68 games.
He hit
The year
31,
before,
man.
yep, 31 2 years ago, 31 home runs in 93 games.
Yeah.
The year before that, he was a little hurt in 2020. This is a guy who's got some serious power. He's going to play every day now, right? That was the issue in Minnesota. They kind of had this rotation. He's the guy. He's the guy in Texas. And Texas is, for me, they're not a sleeper to kind of like go out there and make the playoffs, certainly not win the division, but they're a team that is on the ascent. And they're now that they've reloaded that offense with Seager and Semien. I like Adolis Garcia. I just think it's a good lineup. He's going to fit right in there. They're going to be ducks on the pond. He's a guy who's got a lot of upside. And if you want power, Mitch Garver's one of your guys.
Yeah, for me, I got this guy right here, Christian Vasquez. I mean, the reality is, man, we don't really like the Boston Red Sox a whole lot on this show. Just come out and say it. We're not fans. But the reality is, I'll give credit where credit's due. Those fuckers can play. They can play.
They can.
They can hit the ball. Rafael Devers is someone who's definitely growing on me from a fantasy standpoint.
Absolutely.
I've never really touched him.
He's amazing.
That guy's got some serious power, dude. Xander Bogaerts is a really consistent shortstop. I'm a Kike Hernandez fan. That guy's electric. So they got some dudes that can play. They got some things that are going on. But Vasquez, I think the biggest thing for me is he's sneaky from the catcher position. Again, for a fantasy utility standpoint, he's going to get you some swipes. He has some power in the double category. He hasn't put the ball over the fence much besides the juice ball year. But I think, if he's going to give you 15 and 10 from a stolen base standpoint, even if he gets 8 again, that's just good production. And he's going to drive in runs. He's going to score runs in that lineup. So I think he's just, if you're by, the reality is if you're trying to, at this point of the draft, from a fantasy standpoint, dumpster diving for catcher, I think you can do a lot worse than
yeah, exactly. I think that's the context, right? Like Vasquez is not obviously he's not somebody you're going to take over any of those other catchers for the most part, maybe Garver, that we've listed, right? Everybody, with the exception of Garver, you're probably taking over Christian Vasquez. So if you're at that point in the draft where like all those other guys are gone, Christian Vasquez is the next guy to get because you don't want to be scratching the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. So you have him at 10, right?
I do. He rounds out my 10. You pretty much covered it. Like I kind of buy the bounce back a little bit, right? Like we know what he is, we know what he isn't. I think he's better than what he showed last year. And in that retooled Red Sox lineup, I think he'll have a good year.
Yeah, I got Mike Zunino rounded on my list.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Florida Gators. This guy at certain points of his career has been just, in college he was electric. The guy, he was a first round pick, right?
Go. Let's see.
I think he was a first round pick.
Yeah, he was 3rd overall. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. Oh yeah, he was. You're right. Yeah. So the guy now in college, I'm pretty sure he won a national championship. So, but he's put it together at certain points of his career. Last year he parked 33. That's an impressive number. Forget everything else. If he does that,
oh yeah,
you hit the mine at that point. So if he parks 33, he's hit 20. There's just certain points at this guy's career where he's clicked, and we're hoping at Tampa they fix something, and you can round it out. If you're looking to get some serious power from this position, I think he's good for it. And Tampa, they can always piece it together and play a little bit. So, and
the one thing I'll say to you, Brenden, is that if you roster Mike Zunino as your catcher, you probably should have a backup.
I agree.
Because if you look at it, he only played in 109 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's by design. That's
he also was injured at points.
He may have been.
I think
he may have been.
Though. You're absolutely right.
The Tampa Bay Rays, it's kind of like.
Well, they had Francisco Mejia as well. He was a big prospect at points, so he's gonna need some time, no doubt.
Yeah, like they just don't like to overexpose anybody who they think has certain limitations, and they like to keep people healthy and it's just what they do. So just keep that in mind. If you have Zunino, you may have to have a backup, most likely, if you want to have try to get the most out of your game's limit with the catching position. But no, he certainly, look, 30 home runs from the catcher position. Even if he only plays 110 games, you probably hit more home runs than almost anybody else other than Sal Perez.
Right.
So
yeah, so that's it. Here's the full list right there for you. And like you said, at the end of the season, we'll probably go through and do a comparison of how things shaked out, how things did, and it'll be interesting to kind of compare and contrast. But hopefully, this helps you, and we'll be back soon with a first base list. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe.